Good afternoon. This is the IEP for Willis W. The purpose of this meeting is to discuss a plan that's been put together to help improve Willis's low reading levels. We'll discuss different assessments that he's received and what the results of these assessments mean moving forward academically for Willis. We'll also talk about the potential reading goals put into place for Willis and what strategies can be used to help him reach those goals. Some of the assessments that were administered to Willis include the norm reference assessment, the informal assessment, and the curriculum-based measurement assessment. For the curriculum-based measurement assessment, this was used to measure oral reading fluency. Ames-Webb was used to progress monitor Willis. He was tested throughout a 6-week period. He was asked to read a 1-minute passage, and the numbers of errors were counted and calculated. And the intervention used for this assessment was the 95% group. This intervention is great for students who aren't necessarily fluent readers or students with dyslexia. The 95% group shows the developmental steps and sequences helping struggling readers to develop phonics skills. The 95% group also helps students learn how to decode words. And some of the results of the data showed that he's progressing, but slowly. His rate of improvement every week was aimed to be 1.74, and according to the rate of improvement trend on the graph, he is projected to reach his goal of reading 89 words per minute. The typical third grader does read at 100 words per minute. Next, the norm reference assessment. This was used to measure reading comprehension. The STAR reading assessment was used to monitor his progress, and this helps compare students to their same age peers in terms of reading performance. His scaled score was a 245, which puts him in the yellow zone, and the yellow zone indicates a need for an intervention. His instructional reading level is currently a 1.9 according to the STAR assessment. This means that he would be better served to receive instruction currently at the first grade level. His zone of proximal development ranges between a second and third grade level, so basically what that means is that with guidance and scaffolding, the data is indicating that Willis should be successfully able to read and comprehend second grade books and beginner third grade books. Next, the informal assessment. There were weekly progress checks for reading comprehension and fluency for this assessment. The tests were administered over a 4-week period. Accelerated reading tests were used to measure how well Willis comprehended the stories he was asked to read. He was given a set of 10 multiple choice questions that pertain to the reading. And then for the oral fluency progress monitor, Willis was asked to read as much as he could from a short passage in 1 minute. The results showed that Willis did not read more than 64 words per minute, which is well below the third grade level of 100 words per minute. Furthermore, he did not score higher than a 70% on any of his accelerated reading tests. And 60% is a passing score on those tests. Some of the strengths he exhibits is his reading skills are best when stories and questions are read to him. His listening comprehension is much higher in comparison to his reading comprehension. He also tends to score higher when reading informational texts. He's also shown improvement in decoding unknown words and recognizing sight words. Some of the weaknesses include aspects of phonics, specifically decoding multisyllabic words, reading fluency and comprehension, as mentioned before, are other areas of weakness for Willis, and his reading fluency seems to have a profound effect on his comprehension. Some of the short-term and long-term goals we came up with for Willis. For a long-term goal, by May 2021, after reading a story, Willis will explain the sequence of events with 80% accuracy. on 4 of 5 trials. By January 2021, after reading the story, Willis will explain the sequence of events with 70% accuracy on 4 of 5 trials for a short-term goal. The rationale behind this was based off the results of his accelerated reading scores and also his STAR assessment scores. By the next long-term goal is by May of 2021, Willis will read grade level text orally with accuracy, appropriate rate, and expression at 90 words per minute with 90% accuracy. And for a short-term goal, by January of 2021, Willis will read grade level text orally with accuracy, appropriate rate, and expression at 75 words per minute with 90% accuracy. And the rationale behind this were the weekly progress checks based on his oral reading fluency. We felt that the goals for his reading fluency and also for his comprehension, we felt both of those goals were attainable, and with how his progress is trending, we think they're definitely realistic and measurable goals for him to achieve. Some suggestions for parents and the family to kind of help in helping him reach these goals would be a 20-minute read each night, and then even along with that, having a discussion just to kind of see how well he's comprehending what he's reading. And then another one here, practice 20 phonics words for the week, writing them and saying them, and those words can be provided to parents or family members from the teacher. Okay, now in regards to how lesson plans and kind of how we're going to help advance his skills and in hopes to reach those goals that we just mentioned. For his first lesson plan, this will be based off the norm reference assessment. The objective will be the student will be able to identify the changes in a character throughout the story. He'll read fantasy books, so some of the background knowledge he'll need will be to be familiar with fantasies and understanding that fantasies are made-up stories. Students will also need to be familiar with what a squirrel is, and a few of the characteristics to understand the humor in the stories that will be read. For this lesson, the students will read the story aloud. The teacher will assist when needed. As the students read the story, the teacher will pause frequently to model think alouds and ask questions about the main character and his personality traits. The teacher will also pause when vocab words show up and ask students the meaning of words and how they're used in the story, just to kind of gauge, again, how well they're comprehending what they're reading. To assess their learning, the teacher will have students do a quick exit ticket where the students write how the character changed from the beginning of the story to the end of the story. This kind of ties into the comprehension goal that we came up with, so this will be another good way to assess how well Willis is progressing. For the next one, this lesson plan is based off the informal assessment, and this will, again, the content area centered around this will be reading comprehension. Some of the background knowledge that will be needed is the student will need to know about sports and how people work together in order to accomplish the goal. And the teacher will review how much all the students know about soccer in particular. For this lesson, the student will play the story, soccer shootout over the Promethean board, and the students will listen. The teacher will pause the story in order to model think alouds and ask questions about details in the story, kind of similar to the last lesson plan. And the teacher will give, just to assess how well the student's learning, the teacher will give a quick 5-question quiz over the story. And then lastly, the lesson This lesson plan is based upon the curriculum-based measurement, and this one will focus more on phonics because that was another deficiency of Willis. The objective for this lesson will be that the student will be able to read an appropriate level text fluently. Some of the background knowledge needed: the student will need to know how to code short vowels and other phonics skills that they have learned. For this lesson, the teacher will introduce the coding skill for the week, which is long vowels. The teacher will teach the students how to code long vowels and introduce macrons. The teacher will practice coding 5 words with them, then have the student code 10 words independently, and then the teacher will go over 10 words when all the students have finished and have students do a self-check. To assess the learning for this lesson, the teacher will give 5 words to the students to decode as an end of the lesson informal check. Just to wrap things up, although Willis is performing below his grade level in reading, he's shown enough improvement to believe he will eventually reach the aforementioned goals. The IEP team, as well as his family, must work together to ensure Willis is being provided with adequate assistance. Another important thing to remember is that providing incentives and limiting distractions will be key factors in furthering Willis's progression. And furthermore, encouraging Willis and providing positive reinforcement will also be crucial for his development. I would also encourage parents and family members to reach out and ask questions if there is any confusion or if you have any concerns at all about the plan put together. Appreciate you listening.